I was talking last week about the mind's never-ending list, never-ending to-do list. You can sit, find a quiet space, and experience, see, feel the space of being. And then the mind says, no, this is not enough. There has to be something else. Or sometimes it doesn't necessarily create trouble at the beginning. It will say, oh, this feels amazing. How do we sustain this? How do we hold this? And the sustaining of this feeling, this sense of being, has been coming up a lot in terms of questions. How do I hold this? How do I hold this space? The interest in holding that space is the mind also. It's just a thought arising. It's the mind that wants to hold the space that quiets it. It's the burglar that wants to catch itself in the act over and over and over again. Let's go get him. Let's go get her. And in all cases, just simply recognize that that is what's happening. Allow it to be. Sit with it. Take a breath. Breathe into it. Take a deep breath into it. And just recognize. And there, any suggestion of techniques or practices or anything, in terms of how we explain this, is really just more thoughts arising. But sometimes they might be useful. You can meet any thought arising with another thought, like, I see you. There you are again. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you for attempting to stay relevant in my life with your with your recommendations or noticing or labels or categorizing or creation of problems, creation of solutions. The part about this never-ending to-do list that is just so obvious and apparent, maybe not at first, but it becomes obvious and apparent that it's just part of that particular game. And in the earlier talk, it was, I want some external thing. I want this goal, this external goodie. And then you get there and it either changes it into something else, or there will be stress and anxiety caused around keeping it that way. And finding peace, finding the space of being, this present awareness, this absolute awareness, and the interest in sustaining that observation, that experience. I'm throwing a lot of words out here, but I'm just trying to use different words that are coming this way in terms of asking about it. But that interest in sustaining is really the same thing as I'll be happier when this external event takes place. So then it might come up, okay, now that we've recognized that, what do we do? What do I do? And the answer is, you can simply return back. You can start over, start again, gently. I was going to say without frustration, but you can be frustrated too. That's the beauty of all of this. That's the beauty of allowing, the beauty of accepting all of it, is that frustration is not a thing to be battled or won over. It's allowed as well. In the same, literally in the same side, on the same side of the table, in the same category as bliss or joy or a sense of well-being or peace. The goal isn't sustaining it. There are no goals. There is no reason to be any place other than here, now, where you are. And that the reasons that come up, guess what? They're just thoughts arising. It's just the mind wanting something else, something other than this. The recognition of that game being played can bring peace when it's just seen to be from this observer standpoint. And what you truly are, your true nature is even prior to the observer. It's just that we call it observer to have some sort of pointer. And so shining the light of awareness on it, the observing, the witnessing of it for what it is, which is nothing. It's just a happening. That's where peace is found. It really is. And if you're picking up the the contradiction and saying there's no place you can go, but that's where peace is found, then that makes perfect sense. But there is really no perfect sense in terms of discussing and talking about what this is. Don't effort to sustain, just return back. In the same way that I know from messages there are, and if you're into it, fine, but from meditators, when you're meditating and maybe the mind goes off and sort of trails off and goes and does a thing, I don't know, goes off on its little stories. Most meditation practices will just tell you to go back, just start again with the breath and what you were doing before. In the same way that you might correct a puppy, and you wouldn't have any anger towards it, you would just sort of, move it back into shape. So you start again. The same can be said for sitting in present awareness, sitting in the space of being, noticing that every moment is a miracle. It really is. Every moment arising, and it's even an apparent moment, because there's no such thing as a moment. There's no defined set of time that is a moment. But the witnessing of all of this and its apparent unfolding is just, it's so unbelievably beautiful. And the interest in wanting to sustain this feeling of beauty, the energetic feeling that comes with the noticing of that, in this ironic way, pulls you out of it, because there's no need to sustain it when it's recognized that or that attention is being pulled in another direction. Then just go find it again. Find it for the love of this space. Not out of... I hate telling people what to do, because you're gonna do whatever anyway. So this is always how this goes. Return to it for love, not in the attempt to escape any of those distractions, any of those external things that are happening. Just come back to it. The sustaining of it, sustaining it for a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds, an hour, it will quickly be found that that's not anything either. You don't get points. There's no levels of awareness that you get. You don't get you don't get badges. And yet this whole thing is a game. But there aren't badges in reality. Those are part of video games that you might play. But and I suppose if you want, give yourself badges. I don't care. Do whatever you want. Don't get frustrated if it feels like there's no sustaining. Just return. Find it again and again and again.